In the far north of Europe, where icy seas meet vast tundra and long-standing neutrality has given way to heightened strategic urgency, 4 nations, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, have quietly initiated an ambitious program to jointly procure unmanned aircraft systems and related technologies. On 22 October 2025, the Finnish Ministry of Defense announced that the technical arrangement had been signed in Helsinki. This move marks a turning point. The Nordic defense cooperation that once focused on benign regional interoperability is shifting into the domain of autonomous systems, internal industrial integration, and strategic deterrence. The impetus for this initiative is multi-layered. At one level, the war in Ukraine and the reemergence of Russia as a near-peer conventional threat have driven Northern Europe from a posture of passive threat mitigation to one of proactive defense readiness. The Arctic theater and the Baltic Sea have become de facto front lines. The 4 partners recognize that legacy defense strategies built around piloted platforms, dispersed capability, and patchwork procurement are no longer sufficient. Instead, they need networked, responsive, unmanned systems able to operate in harsh environments, persistently gather intelligence, and link into wider alliance architectures. The Finnish defense minister explicitly noted that enhanced cooperation in unmanned aircraft systems will facilitate multinational operations in the Nordic region. But this is more than a mere procurement contract. The 4 countries envisage a structured, multi-phase capability buildup that comprises harmonizing technical requirements, joint acquisition to leverage economies of scale, a shared supply chain footprint, and integrated training, logistics, and maintenance. As documented by a working group under the Nordic Defense Cooperation Framework, the Unmanned Aerial Systems Working Group aims to cover technical requirements, regulations, logistics, joint procurement, and interoperability. This reflects a shift from ad hoc cooperation to systemic industrial and operational integration. Economically and industrially, the significance is profound. The unmanned systems sector is one of the fastest-growing segments of the defense market in Europe, and the Nordic states clearly recognize the value of sovereign supply chains. They aim to reduce dependency on external providers, particularly as the global defense industry becomes increasingly subject to geopolitical supply chain disruption. In practical terms, this means locating key capabilities within the region: composite airframes in Denmark, lithium-ion energy storage in Finland or Norway, advanced sensor suites, and artificial intelligence-driven autonomy software in Sweden. The procurement partnership thus forms the backbone of a nascent Nordic tech loop, designed to mirror in Europe the autonomous systems agenda being pursued in other regions. In operational terms, the adoption of unmanned aircraft systems matters because the Nordic battlefield is distinctive. Long distances, sparse infrastructure, harsh weather, polar conditions, and the presence of ice in archipelagos. Manned systems can be costly and less persistent in such environments. Unmanned systems, networked with electronic warfare modules, sensor inputs, and ground stations, provide a more resilient architecture of situational awareness and deterrence. For example, an unmanned ISR, intelligence surveillance reconnaissance platform launched from northern Finland, could patrol near the Russian border for extended periods, transmit data through Nordic digital links, and queue air, sea, or land responses. Integrating these platforms with joint command and control across Finland, Sweden, and Norway enhances what one might call a digital northern shield. This initiative also aligns with broader alliance logic. The Nordic countries remain members of the wider NATO framework or moving into it. Sweden's accession and Finland's earlier entry have further tied Northern Europe more tightly into transatlantic defense. The joint unmanned program signals that the region is no longer a peripheral zone, but a core node in alliance deterrence. It also opens pathways for multinational industrial collaboration, joint logistics, and shared training. From a global strategic perspective, the North thus becomes integrated with the Atlantic and Indo-Pacific defense enterprise. Another key dimension is the China factor, invisible to many observers but quietly central. Although no contract publicly bears the word China, the strategic logic is clear. Many of the sensors, chips, lithium-ion batteries, and composite materials needed for unmanned systems are globally traded, and China remains a dominant player in multiple parts of these supply chains. By creating a joint regional procurement and development framework, the Nordic states aim to hedge against potential Chinese leverage or supply chain disruption. In effect, the Unmanned Aircraft Systems Program constitutes an industrial defense security initiative, autonomy in production and supply as much as in operation. One might say that China is the silent actor in the Arctic and Northern autonomy strategy. Connecting this to allied partner frameworks, one can observe parallels with the Australia-United Kingdom-United States Security Partnership, particularly Pillar 2 on autonomous and unmanned systems. The Nordic program could serve as a European template, a regional coalition pooling procurement, sharing data, building common infrastructure, and aligning industrial bases. For your channel's channel on defense analysis, this model offers an axis of comparison, how Northern Europe builds its unmanned ecosystem and what lessons Australia or other regional defense coalitions might draw. Strategically, the implications are profound. The Joint Unmanned Aircraft Systems Initiative transforms the North from strategic backwater to strategic frontier. It shifts the cost burden from purely capability acquisition to capability generation, development of sensors, autonomy, logistics, training, and sustainment. It enhances resilience by embedding industrial bases within the region. It strengthens deterrence by enabling persistent surveillance and rapid response. And it gives the Nordic countries agency in a global system where autonomy and supply chain control are as important as lethal platforms. The Arctic and Baltic Sea theaters will now be influenced not just by where ice breaks or shipping lanes open, but by where digital networks, artificial intelligence sensors, and autonomous aircraft operate. Looking ahead to 2030, one may anticipate that unmanned systems will constitute a significant share, perhaps 30 to 40%, of deployed surveillance and strike assets in Northern Europe. The supply chain realignment and joint procurement foundations laid now will open large export potentials, strengthen regional defense industrial bases, and deepen alliance-level interoperability. At the same time, the initiative will confront challenges: cost overruns, regulation of autonomy, training of operators and maintainers, ethical and legal frameworks for unmanned strike, and ensuring that the supply chain is both secure and sustainable. In conclusion, the Joint Unmanned Aircraft Systems Program of the Nordic states is more than a procurement project. It is a declaration of strategic autonomy, technological integration, and regional defense cohesion. The North has chosen to build its own unmanned future, not wait for others to provide it. For watchers of global defense trends, this is a signal worth noting. The Arctic is not only melting, it is militarizing in digital form. If you wish to explore further how this intersects with Indo-Pacific autonomous systems, or how supply chain resilience is rewriting global defense, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join the discussion below. Your engagement helps us bring you deeper, analytical content. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next briefing.